I see you're here with the case in hand, Fortune. Indeed I am, Your Honor. And I am here to expose Caitlin Clark, not as a fraud or a fake, as most people would love to call her that nowadays, but someone with integrity, someone with confidence, and self-awareness. All I'm asking is a chance to prove that she is not who she says she is.
Hey basketball fans, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into something that has become somewhat divisive. A lot of people have weighed in on Caitlin Clark's recent interview and her statements. So there are some things we need to address. Did Caitlin Clark bend the knee when the media questioned her? Absolutely not. Does Caitlin Clark need to have grace extended? Absolutely not, because that will insinuate that she did or said something wrong. In fact, Caitlin Clark showed that she's built differently. So let's break it down with 7 reasons why Caitlin Clark will never bend the knee. Let's get into it. So let's do this by addressing specific statements from the article. Number 1, when asked to define her year in one word, Clark chooses historic. Clark, it quickly becomes clear, is polite and down to earth, but also has not an ounce of false humility. I've been able to captivate so many people that have never watched women's sports, let alone women's basketball, and turn them into fans, she says. The statement about Clark describing her year as historic and acknowledging her ability to captivate new fans of women's basketball does not reflect the demeanor of someone who would naturally bend the knee. Instead, it reflects qualities of confidence, self-awareness, and leadership. Caitlin's acknowledgement to her achievements is direct and unapologetic. She embraces the impact she has had on the sport without downplaying her role, a stark contrast to someone who would easily submit or defer to others. Her lack of false humility signals that she values authenticity and is comfortable owning her influence and accomplishments. By highlighting her ability to captivate so many people and transform them into fans of women's basketball, Caitlin positions herself as a trailblazer and an agent of change. This is not the mindset of someone who sees themselves as subordinate or overly differential. Number 2, it's a well-known fact that Caitlin Clark loves children. So let's address this comment in the article. Clark's skyrocketing fame has upended her life at a dizzying rate. She now has an advanced security guard. A fan asked her to sign a sonogram. There's just so much weird stuff, she says. The placement of Caitlin Clark's weird stuff comment immediately following the anecdote about the sonogram request can create a negative or dismissive impression of what is, in reality, a heartwarming story with a unique twist. Placing weird stuff right after the sonogram anecdote creates a direct association between the two, suggesting she finds the request strange or off-putting. This framing could lead some to interpret her comment as dismissive, potentially overshadowing her appreciation for the moment or the fans' genuine admiration. Without additional context, weird stuff could be misconstrued as a complaint or sign of detachment rather than an expression of wonder or amusement about the unique situation her fame brings. Readers might see this as a lack of gratitude or connection with her fans, which could clash with her reputation as someone who genuinely loves children and values her supporters. Number 3, Clark is cognizant of the racial underpinnings of her stardom. I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege, says Clark. Caitlin, there is privilege is observational, not confessional. It describes a systematic reality rather than centering her personal experience. Caitlin Clark's phrasing, there is privilege, is indeed a general acknowledgement rather than a direct admission of personal privilege. This nuance shifts their interpretation of her statement. Those who overlook the "there is privilege" statement's general nature and interpret it as Caitlin Clark's direct admitting personal privilege and attributing her success and her accolades to it are consciously or unconsciously revealing more about their own biases, assumptions, or agendas than about what Caitlin actually said. Those who leap to interpreting Caitlin's statement as "I am privileged" rather than the broader neutral "there is privilege" may have skipped over the nuance of her phrasing. This haste often stems from projecting their own biases or oversimplifying the issue to fit a preconceived narrative. These interpretations say less about Caitlin and more about the critic's discomfort or eagerness to frame her acknowledgement in a way that suits their agenda. Number 4, Jen Jensen, an Iowa assistant coach at the time, first watched Clark play when she was in middle school. She hit a step-back three-pointer and threw a long pass her teammate couldn't catch, but the ball was on the money. You could see her swag, says Jensen, the way she walked. In a Pee-wee game when everybody was like, "Your shot hit the rim, let's go get ice cream," she's like, "I don't want to eat freaking ice cream, I want to win." That's when Caitlin Clark's mission began. This statement about Caitlin Clark's swag and her refusal to prioritize ice cream over winning reflects a personality that is highly self-driven, competitive, and focused on success, qualities that do not align with someone who would bend the knee. Jen Jensen highlights Caitlin's swag, a term often associated with self-assuredness, poise, and an unshakable belief in one's ability. From a young age, Caitlin exhibited an innate confidence that made her stand out on the court. This confidence is a hallmark of leaders, not followers. Someone with such natural swagger would inspire others to bend the knees rather than submitting. Caitlin's response to "I don't want any freaking ice cream, I want to win" underscores her singular focus on achieving victory, even in a casual youth basketball setting. This unrelenting drive to succeed demonstrates a mindset that values goals over distractions, making her unlikely to yield to others without a fight. Jensen's observation that Caitlin Clark's mission began at this moment suggests that Caitlin's path to greatness was self-directed from the start. Her determination to win, even as a child, reflects her deep sense of purpose, not privilege, purpose and agency. Someone so mission-driven wouldn't bend the knee easily, as her focus would be on leading and setting her own path. Number 5, her Catholic family wanted her to pick Notre Dame for college, but Clark shunned the Fighting Irish to play for her home state school. She put up big numbers at Iowa immediately, but had trouble hiding her frustrations. She would shake her head when someone screwed up, or take it out on a towel or a chair. If somebody couldn't catch a pass, she would throw her hands up and do a pirouette, says Lisa Bluter, the Iowa head coach during Clark's years at the school. Bluter retired after last season, and Jensen now runs the program. The coaching staff worked with Clark to improve her body language, showing her the video of her outbursts, and she reined it in for the most part. By her junior year, Iowa was knocking off undefeated South Carolina in a national semis to reach the finals against LSU. The statement about Caitlin Clark's refusal to attend the college her parents wanted and her visible frustrations on the court does not align with the personality of someone who would bend the knee. Instead, it reflects a strong-willed, independent individual who is unafraid to stand by her convictions and express herself, even in challenging or controversial situations. Caitlin's decision to turn down Notre Dame despite her Catholic family's wishes illustrates her independence and her willingness to prioritize her own goals and visions over external pressures, even from those closest to her, even her family, the ones she loves, the ones closest to her. This choice highlights her confidence in charting her own course, a hallmark of someone who leads rather than submits. Statement number 6. About a month later, on the eve of this year's NCAA tournament, West Virginia's coach told his players, "Let's send Caitlin Clark packing." So after Iowa dispatched the Mountaineers in the second round, Clark took a microphone before practice, stood on the scores table, and sang Country Roads at the top of her lungs. "I kind of just troll," Clark says. "She has a big, loud personality with people she's comfortable with." The statement about Caitlin Clark trolling West Virginia by singing Country Roads after their coach said, "Let's send Caitlin Clark packing," does not reflect the demeanor of someone who would bend the knee. Instead, it underscores her confidence, competitive spirit, and ability to respond to challenges with humor and swagger. Caitlin's choice to troll West Virginia by singing their unofficial anthem on the scores table demonstrates not only confidence but a sense of control over the narrative. She didn't simply win the game, she turned the opposition words into a playful moment of triumph. This kind of bold, self-assured behavior is far from submissive. It aligns more closely with someone who leads, commands attention, and thrives under pressure. Statement number 7. For the second time in about a week, Clark was leading the sports news cycle. No matter that the NBA Finals had just tipped off, everyone had a hot take on Clark, except it seemed for Clark. "I have a great skill of just blocking it out," says Clark. "I don't care what people say about me." Clark told sides the snub woke a monster. Making the 2028 team is a huge, huge goal. She says, and she believes, being left off the Paris roster will definitely motivate me my entire career. She calls her exclusion a blessing. Not only did it fuel her to prove that she belonged on the team, it also granted her a much needed break. The statement about Caitlin Clark calling her exclusion from the Olympic team a blessing and stating it woke a monster does not sound like someone who would bend the knee. Instead, it reflects resilience, self-motivation, and a strong sense of agency. Thanks for tuning in. So what do you think? Did Caitlin Clark bend the knee? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, keep ballin'.